Welcome back to the Vandy Sports Podcast. I'm Joey Dwyer here after Vanderbilt's 85-82 win in front of a sold-out crowd at Stegeman Coliseum. Vanderbilt picks up a quad 2 win on the road and kind of shows the blueprint of how they're going to win. They had their veterans lead the way. It was a team effort. Everybody stepped up at times to stop the bleeding when Georgia would make a run. Felt like Georgia was making run after run after run, and it was inevitable that it wasn't going to be as big of a score gap as it was throughout a lot of the second half. And it certainly wasn't. It came down to the buzzer, but Vanderbilt was able to hold off Georgia and pick up a solid road win on the back of their veterans. Ezra Manjon was probably the MVP today, had 19 points on 8 of 12 shooting, was 3 for 3 from the line, had a few steals, had a few assists, and really just led the way for Vanderbilt. It felt like Georgia was really pushing them in the early second half, and Ezra was kind of the guy that led the way for Vanderbilt and really slowed that momentum, not only by scoring, but by forcing Georgia into turnovers, by forcing them into bad possessions. And Ezra was a key tonight. Jerry Stackhouse was sure to praise him. Tyron Lawrence is also another guy he praised. Had 15 points, wasn't overly efficient, but got to the line 11 times. And that's something that's sorely been missed from Vanderbilt. You look at Tyron Lawrence's efficiency from the field, and it maybe isn't as high as you'd think, but a lot of those points are coming from him getting downhill, drawing fouls, just being composed at the rim. And I think that's a really valuable skill for him in Vanderbilt. Myles Stute had 14 and was certainly encouraging today, although Jerry Stackhouse mentioned that he had a few turnovers that he wasn't a huge fan of, but Stute, even when he wasn't playing well, was doing a lot of good things, was taking the attention off of Vanderbilt's other guards, had 2 offensive rebounds tonight, and has been a good rebounder throughout conference play. Today, he got rewarded with some shots behind the arc, though, and a lot of them were contested. A lot of them weren't great shots, but you trust Myles Stute to make them. He was 4 for 4 from beyond the arc tonight, shot 83% from the field in total. Those 3 free throws were kind of killer, but you like what you got from Stute today, especially after what you'd gotten from him throughout a lot of conference play. So certainly an encouraging outing for Vanderbilt's veterans. And you can't talk about Vanderbilt's veterans today without mentioning Trey Thomas, who had 12 points, hit 4 huge free throws at the end of the game. That's not an easy thing to do on the road in front of a crowd like this. Although you didn't think Georgia was going to have a crowd like that, they did. Trey Thomas hit some huge shots late, though. Also didn't turn it over. So a lot of good things for Vanderbilt today, but you kind of see where they could have a potential downfall. Dort is out for about 4 weeks at the least, and Vanderbilt really short in the front court. Stack said he liked what Malik Dia did for them tonight, but I don't know if that's a guy that he trusted all that much heading into this game. Malik Dia certainly has some developing to do, and that's gone a little bit slower than I think they maybe have thought, or at least slower than the other guys. Now Malik Dia is forced to grow up quickly. Had 0 points tonight, had 3 fouls, 2 of which were in the early first half. And Stack had to get creative because of that. He had to go with Myles Stute at the 5 so he could save Quentin Malloy-Brown for the second half a little bit. Malloy-Brown was really good today, though, and certainly like what you've gotten from him after what you had from him throughout non-conference play and throughout much of the season thus far. Had 7 points, but 11 rebounds, 6 of them offensive rebounds, charted 30 minutes tonight, and they're going to need a lot of that from Quentin Malloy-Brown. He was really solid tonight. It was all Vanderbilt's veterans really stepping up and making plays. Paul Lewis also charted 13 minutes, really out of nowhere, instead of Noah Shelby, and had 6 points, hit 2 threes. So really just a team effort for Vanderbilt today. It's going to have to be that way down the stretch here. The blueprint for them is just to get going from beyond the arc. They have to be multifaceted offensively, and without knocking down threes and opening up the lane, opening up Quentin Malloy-Brown down low so there's not as much pressure on him to make plays down there is really important for them, and they did that today. Hit 10 threes out of 21, shot about almost 50% from beyond the arc, shot 47%. Was really good from the field as well, almost 50% from there. Got to the line 29 times. So you really like what you saw from Vanderbilt today against a team who statistically is pretty solid defending the 3-point line. Vanderbilt was really, really solid there, even against a lot of the man and the pressure that Georgia was throwing at them. Will we see that every game? No, and that's kind of where my concern lies without Liam Robbins, without Dort. Vanderbilt's going to get pressured out there. They're going to have to prove that they can hit shots, and against some teams and other teams, they're going to have to prove they can get by them. They're not as multifaceted as they were. Malloy-Brown's a fine post-up guy, but he's certainly not Liam Robbins, and Dort, I think, also has a lot of upside in terms of just being kind of their go-to guy down there. I don't think he's fully polished as a post-up guy, but he's a guy that you can give a touch to. Maybe not rely on him scoring, but he's a guy that you'd like your chances with a lot of the time, especially if there's a mismatch or there's a skinnier big. You kind of like what you have there. And it's certainly going to take a lot more for Vanderbilt to win now. They're going to have to defend a whole lot better than they did today. And that's going to be challenging because they don't have shot blockers really anymore. Quentin Miller-Brown had a block today, but Lee Dort and Liam Robbins are far and away their best shot blockers. Stack's going to have to get creative with the lineups a little bit. You saw today he had that lineup with Dia at the 5, Smith at the 4, and Stute at the 3. That's really his version of going big now. I guess Miller-Brown could be the center in that as well, but you can't really go big the way maybe you wanted to at the beginning of conference play. And also, you saw the lineup with Stute at the 5, Jordan Wright at the 4, where you gave up 4 inches to their center. So it's going to take a lot for Vanderbilt here. They're not as good defensively as they were. Their offense isn't quite as multifaceted, but today showed kind of the path to them winning. You got to shoot it well from 3. That opens up everything else. You got to get on the offensive glass. You got to get on the glass in general, and they lost the battle on the glass tonight, but got a lot of offensive rebounds. Only turned it over 10 times, won the turnover battle, and they're going to have to do the little things like that down the stretch. They're just going to have to be prolific offensively in a way that they haven't really been for a lot of the season to win these games. You saw the way they shot it in the first half. It took an 8-0 run for them late in the half to really get any type of breathing room from Georgia. So it just kind of shows you how small the margin of error is, even when Vanderbilt's hitting shots. When Georgia's not hitting shots, it's still neck and neck, and Vanderbilt's having a tough time. So really just matters how much they hit shots from beyond the arc. Stackhouse said it's not the quality of shot, it's whether they go in. And it's hard to argue with him there. Vanderbilt is certainly a team that's going to be relying on the 3-ball throughout the rest of the year, and they shot it well enough today for that to be a decent strategy for them. You can see how it can work. Today was an example of that, but you can also see the potential pitfalls of if they can't hit threes, how are they going to open up the floor for their drivers? How are they going to get the defense to come out on them a little bit? And today, I think, is an example of how it can work. He got Miller-Brown a few good looks around the rim. The lane was cleared out so he could get some offensive rebounds. Tyler Lawrence got downhill a little bit. Ezra Manjon got downhill a little bit, and their shooters all seem to have it going, so that obviously helped them. But if that can't happen, I'm not sure really how Vanderbilt can beat a team like Kentucky on Tuesday or beat a team like Ole Miss in a few games. So it's really going to be interesting to see where Vanderbilt goes from here, and if that strategy can work, because it's worked throughout SEC play, but there's certainly less margin for error than there was if you have Liam Robbins on the floor protecting the rim, being kind of your stabilizer. The offense is a lot less stable now. They're more susceptible to those big scoring droughts. The free throws obviously helped them late, but they went about 5 minutes at the end of the game without scoring from the field. So you can kind of see where the pitfalls would come. Today they were good enough in all those aspects to win, though. Some days they're not going to be. And that's really my concern with this team. But you like what you saw from them today. You like what you saw from the veteran leadership. They took care of the ball. They forced a few turnovers and just looked like the better team pretty much all day. Didn't really let Georgia get over the hump. Vandy led for, I would have to guess, at least over 30 minutes of this game. And just Georgia was certainly not out of it, which shows the smaller margin for error because Vanderbilt shot so much better than them. But also the way that Vanderbilt was able to hold them off is certainly encouraging and kind of a testament to their veteran leadership to not say, oh, here we go, they're getting hot, they got the crowd behind them. Vanderbilt was able to be tough enough mentally to win this game and find a way to win even throughout all the challenges UGA threw at them. Vanderbilt's going to play Kentucky on Tuesday, and it's certainly not going to get easier there. Kentucky struggled, but still probably better than Georgia, so it's going to be tough for them. Quentin Miller-Brown is going to have to bring it against Oscar Tshiebwe, and so will Vanderbilt's younger guys. Colin Smith's probably going to have a big assignment defensively. Malik D is going to have a big assignment defensively, and Stack's going to have to get creative again. We're going to have to see kind of those lineups where you put Tshiebwe on the perimeter, try to run him off the floor, maybe with Stute at the 5, see if Stute can get a few open looks that way, and see if you can manufacture some offense in some creative ways. I think Stack did a nice job with that today. They ran really good action for a lot of that first half to get those open looks from beyond the arc. They did a nice job cutting. They did a nice job getting downhill with their guards. And today was just a really solid performance for Vanderbilt in every aspect. Maybe not a game that you're thinking will turn around the season, but a game that is really encouraging, especially since it was on the back of their veterans, the guys that have to lead this team down the stretch here. So Vanderbilt will play Tuesday against Kentucky at Memorial Gymnasium. Expect that to be a big crowd and a game that Vanderbilt will have to rise to the occasion for. So thank you guys for watching. God bless. And I'll be at Memorial on Tuesday covering that game. Thank you guys again, and peace.